This is Gemara Shavuos, Daf Mem Zayin, and as we're nearing the end of this incredible Masechta, we're on Mem Vav Mem Beis, about 15 lines to the bottom, the two dots, Nachbol Ketzad, the Mishnah spoke about when entering into someone else's property, leaving injured, said the Mishnah, and you collect the damages that happened to the person. We like all the learning to be an incredible Schos Refuah Shalema for Tinok ben Miriam Ahuva, as well as a schos for Kol Achenu Beis Yisrael, specifically Hachayalim Shalechamim in Eretz Yisrael and Mirtz Hashem, which only hear Besurais Tevais. Says the Gemara, Amr Avidah Amr Shmuel Lo Yishanu Ella b'Makom Sheyachal Lachbol Ba'atzmai. The din of the Mishnah that the one that got damaged, the victim, has to make a shvuah and collect is only if the damage is in a place of his body that he could have injured himself. However, then noitel shaloi b'shvuah. If it's clear that the damages were not any issue of his own, but rather came from the property that he was in, then he collects it out of shvuah. Ask the Gemara, what do you mean? Why aren't we worried that he scraped himself against the wall? Meaning, every injury at some level could be caused by oneself. Explains the Gemara. Talking about a case, there's a bite mark on his back, or between his elbows, damages that clearly could not have been self-inflicted and only came from the property that he was in. Asks the Gemara of Dama Achar Ovidle, but how do we know that it was where he was assaulted? Perhaps someone else did it to him. How do we know from coming out of this property this happened? Says the Gemara, because we know to like Achar, there is no one else. We continue 10 lines to the bottom. The Mishnah taught us the cases in which the Kenegdai, the opposing litigant, is suspect. Then the halacha is afilu shvuah shav, etc. Says Gemara, what exactly does this mean? My afilu shvuah shav. What does it mean? Even a shvuah shav? Is this any more of a chiddush than the other case in the Mishnah? What's the afilu? Explains the Gemara, loy mi bayi kamer as follows. Loy mi bayi hanach teslu kafiras mamayin. It's pashit in the cases in which the denial involves Firas mamain. It's pasha that in those cases he does not have a nemanis with regard to a shvuah. In any other future case, elafilu, but rather even on namidik firas divarim ba'alma. This isn't a case of actual mamanis. This is merely denying the facts, but there's no actual money matters that any ramifications in mamanis. Who? He still is not believed in the future regarding with such a shvuah. Says the Gemara, but wait, go even further. The Mishnah said shvuah shav. Why not shvuah's bitoy? Explains the Gemara. Kikatani, 5 lines to the bottom. Shvuah dechi ka mishtaba b'shikra ka mishtaba. Talking about a shvuah in which at the moment it was taken, it was sheker. Aval shvuah as a bitoy. A shvuah as bitoy, a nonsensical oath. Then it could be that it was said in truth, and only later did he have intent to violate his shvuah. Like Atani, therefore, it's not listed. As the last Rashi in Amid spells out, when you're swearing about something in the future, maybe he's going to fulfill it. It's not the same level. Where the shvuah shav was inherently sheker, that's when you lose your neman. Says the Gemara, Teinach oichel v'loy oichel. I understand in a case if someone makes a shvuah, I will eat or I will not eat, and then he was over on his shvuah. However, if he makes a shvuah, achalti, I ate, or v'loy achalti, I did not eat, my ikal meimar, what are you going to say in such a scenario? The shvuah was inherently false when he said it. So why is this not listed? Why does the Mishnah stay at Shavuos Shav? Explains the Gemara. Tana Shavuos Shav. We learned the case of Shavuos Shav, and we turn over to Mem Zayin and Aleph. V'chol dedami lan. It doesn't mean only a Shavuos Shav. It means any case comparable to it, which would include this form of Shavuos Bitui in the past, which is ostensibly a Shvuah Sheker, as the top Rashi points out, any Shvuah Lishe Ovar. Continues the Gemara, Echamem Misachik Bakovi, if one of them gambled, says Marasulam, Litanab Psula Deraisa, Vikatani Psula Derabanan. You're right, it's Pashet. The Mishnah lists Psulam Deraisa and Psulam Derabanan. Hayushteim Chshudim. We continue quoting the Mishnah. If both of them are Chashid, then Chazar Shua Limikaimai. That's Rashitas Rav Yossi. Rameir says no. Yachloiku. Amrle Ravale Rav Nachman Echi Tanan. On what case are we talking about? Amrle Lo Yadana Helchasamai. So what's the halacha? Amrle Lo Yadana. Don't know that as well. So it's Mars. Let's figure out what's going on over here. Amar Rav Yossi, save 6 lines down. Bar Minumi Amar Rav Nachman Rav Yossi Aimer Yachloiku Chetan Rav Zid Bar Yossi. Rav Yossi Yachloiku. So we know what she does. Rav Yossi. The Amri Tini Rav Zid Amar Rav Yossi Amar Rav Yossi Amar Chloiku. Amar Rav Yossi Rav Minumi Amar Rav Nachman Ovda Yachloiku. So now we know whom is saying what. The Mishnah said Chazva Shualim Kaimai. Says the Gemara, what does that mean? Leichan Chazra, to where does it go? Amar Ravami Rabbi Seinu Shebebavel Amru. The Rabbanan in Bavel explained Chazra Shvua Li Sinai. The Shvua goes back to Sinai. What does that mean? That means there is no Shvua. Everything stays where it is. And there's the Stam, the Shvua B'Sinai, the Shvua to keep the Torah, and that's where we keep it at. Explains the Gemara, that's Rabbi Seinu Shebebavel. Rabbi Seinu writes, Yisrael Amru. Chazra Shvua L'Mechuyev Law. The Shvua indeed goes back to the one who is obligated, the one who originally was Chayiv. He is going to have to make the Shvua. Says the Gemara Papa, Rabbi Seinu Shebebavel is whom? Ravu Shmuel. Rabbi Seinu Shebebavel Yisrael is whom? Reb Abba. Now the Gemara explains. Rabbi Seinu Shebebavel Ravu Shmuel. And where do we see the Rashid? Did Tanat. V'chein Yisrael le'yafar ele b'shvua. Yisrael only get paid back with the shvua of Avina. But we wondered, Miman, what does it mean that Yisrael will only be paid with a shvua? When, in what case, in which the Yisrael are collecting, do they have to make such a shvua? Ilema malveh. Mi loive. If you're going to tell me they're collecting from the loive, avu and shakal b'loi shvua. So why do they have to swear? The father will be able to take without a shvua. V'enu b'shvua. Ella, you know what the case must be? Achi kamar. If Yisayimim are collecting from another group of Yisayimim, then the halach is le'yaparu. They cannot collect ella b'shvua. Rav Shmuel Damri Tervayu Loishan Al Shemis Malve B'Chayi Loive. This is only a scenario in which the lender dies while the loive is still alive. However, Avomis Loive B'Chayi Malve, if the loive is one that is an iftar, Kvar Nitzchayev Malve L'Bnei Loive, the Malve was already obligated, L'Bnei Loive Shvua, and a very important Yisayim. Says the Gemara, you could bequeath everything to your children. However, a shvua is not bequeathed, is not given down via Yerusha to one's children, and therefore there will be no shvua. That's Rabbi Seinu Shebebavel Ravu Shmuel. Whereas Rabbi Seinu Sheberetz Yisrael, which is whom Rav Abba, what is that? Who covered the Chotav Nascha Mechavre, someone grabbed the bar of silver from his friend, Dasli Kamei, the Ravami, and Ravami was Yosef Rav Kamei. Rav Abba was sitting there, Aisi Chatzado. He brought one aid to Mechatev Chotva Minei, that the bar of silver was grabbed from him. Amrlei in Itshu Chatafti. I grabbed it, but guess what? It's mine. Vididi Chatafti. So what is the halacha in such a scenario in which he admits he grabbed, but he said it was his own item that he grabbed? Amar Ravami Hechel Adina Dina Lahaydina. How do we judge this case? Namely, Zilshlim go pay like a Trey Sadi. There aren't two aidim, so why is he paying nifter? Let him be potter, but guess what? He has Chad Sadi. There's one aid. Namely, Zilishtava goes swear. Once he admitted that he grabbed it, Havaliki Gazlan. He's showing he's like a Gazlan. So says Rav Ami, what exactly should he do in this case? Amli Rav Abba. This is the quintessential case, Dr. Rav Abba. Have mechayiv shvua v'niyachali shava. This guy is obligated to shvua, but guess what? He cannot play. And 7 lines to the Y lines. What's the rule? What's the aside? Chol mechayiv shvua v'niyachali shava mish aleim. You're going to have to pay. On my Rava, guess what? I go with Rav Abba. Let me prove to you that it is mistaver. It's logical. The Tani Rav Ami, Shua Hashem the Shua of God should be between them. What's the case? If you're going to tell me if you can tell me the case that someone said mana to your father, it's in the hand of your father, my father, hand of your father. V'amar lein, he responds, Chamshin islay, Chamshin laslay. 50 I do have, and 50 I don't have. A classical modeva makes us. Mali hu, mali avua. So says the Gemara, what's the difference between him and his father? Why he should have to regularly make a shvuah. Elalav. Rather, what are we going to say? Damar lei, maralaba bi'adavicha. My father had money to your father. I'm like Chamshin yadad v'chamshin lo yadano. So it's not a case of Ma'idim makes sense, but rather he's saying 50 I'm maskim, I know about. The other 50 I just don't know about. So says the Gemara as we turn over to Mem Zayin and Beis. If you're going to tell me that what? Aviv ki agav nemechayiv. In this scenario, the father would have been chayiv, then it's a cholim iftar gabi yarshim. It makes sense that we need a pasuk to pot to the yarshim. Elo, however, yamrid aviv ki agav nami potter kra gabi yarshin lamali. So why do we need a pasuk for the yarshim? So says the Gemara, the Saraya to Rav Abba, that in a scenario that one cannot make a shvuah, he's going to have to pay. And that's the reason why the father would have had to do such. We need a special pasuk to panter up the yarshim, the yesaimim. So now we have the Rabbeinu Sheba Bavel versus the Rabbeinu Sheba Eretz Yisrael. So we just explain to Rav Abba, who's Rabbeinu Sheba Eretz Yisrael. So now says the Gemara, what do Rabbeinu Sheba Bavel? What does Rav and Shmuel say back? Rav and Shmuel, Hai Shavuos Hashem Mai Kadarshi Bei. What do they do with the pasuk? You know they do with it. Lichadetanya. The following brayse: Shimon ben Tarif and Aimer Shavuos Hashem Tia Ben Shneihem Milamed Shashvuah Chala Al Shneihem. Says the brayse, the shvuah is going to be chal on both of them. Shimon ben Tarif and Aimer, no. Azhar le'oikev achar noyef minayim. Excuse me, so that's what we're going to do with the pasuk. Now the brayse just continues what Shimon ben Tarif is talking. Said Shimon ben Tarif, where do we see an iser of one who is an oikev achar noyef? He's a shliach after a noyef, one who continues down this path of zinos. Loisin af, loisan if. Says the Gemara, we could read the pasuk loisan if, which means do not cause another to be involved in adultery, involved in zinos. Says the Gemara, another pasuk, v'tiragna ba'alechem. Says Moshe Rabbeinu, you slandered in your tent, Shimon Tarif and Aimer, tartem v'ginisem ba'aloi shel makim. You spied and you disparaged the tent of HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Another Joshua of Shimon ben Tarfin, Adanor Agadol Nar Prash Shimon Tarfin Aimer, Karav Legabe Dehina V'idhoin. Says Shimon ben Tarfin, an anointed person, if you touch, you will be anointed as well. The oil rubs off. So we're talking about the Euphrates in this pasuk, that it's going to be great by its association, the fact that it rubs off from Eretz Yisrael. Very Shmal Tana. Avan Evan Melech is Kimelech, a similar Yisai, that something that is next to something great gets the din of the greatness as well. Again, we just brought down these drashas that Shimon Tarfin explains the pasuk for Rav Shmuel, so we bring down some other drashas of his. We continue halfway down the Amud, the 2 dots of Cheveni al ben Kasai, quoting the din of the Mishnah. Says the Gemara, Tanya, Amar Rebbe. Why are we giving a shvuah in such a case? They both could swear and take me. I like Kibla. So says Gemara, is this indeed the halacha? Did Rebbe accept that which Avchia said or not? Workers swear to the storekeeper. He should have said swear to the Balabhayis. So says the Gemara, what do you see? Ashitas Rebbe is that the workers swear to the Chenveni. He clearly holds that their ches of noitel, they swear and they take as the storekeeper is the one that's going to have to pay. Amar Rava no raya. Poil in Ishbay in the Balabayis. B'maimor Chenveni just means in the presence of the Chenveni. Why Kittel Chasu Minei? So they should be embarrassed as he's the one that's paid. We'll stop over here. We'll pick it up from the Itzmar the next year. V'siyata Dishmaya.